willful defaulter Vijay Mallya. The Supreme Court has held Mallya guilty of contempt of court. Mallya has been asked to personally appear before the Supreme Court on the 10th of July when the court will decide the quantum of punishment to be awarded to Mr. Mallya. A plea was filed by a consortium of banks led by the SBI, which sought action against Mallya for allegedly diverting $40 million to his children's accounts in foreign banks in violation of the court order.
There is definitely an order which holds him in contempt, and they have asked him to be present before the court on 10th of July, that is 10/7/2017. So he will be present in court and he will have to face questions by the court on why he should not be held for contempt. Prima facie, there is definitely a contempt which the court has held.
And what is your expectation on July 10 from the Supreme Court?
I think he should be punished. My expectation is that he will have to face punishment under the Contempt of Court Act.
We need money to come back. It's hard-earned money of the Indian public that has to come back. And, I'm also concerned about the jobs of thousands people working in the companies that Vijay Mallya returns. What his personal criminality or misdemeanor is, that is for the courts to decide.
We respect the supremacy of the court in democracy, and we had all respect for it. Therefore, we respect the verdict and the order of the Supreme Court, and hopefully Mr. Mallya will be present in the court.
Supreme Court should ask the government. I am asking the government. Let the government tell the people and the nation why he is not being brought back, and what is the incapacity or inability of the government to bring him back. That's what Government of India should be questioned squarely. Supreme Court should ask Government of India what Government of India is going to do in such a case, and with regard to such people who are fugitives, who are giving wrong affidavits to the apex court.
What does it matter what the court may summon? But the question is that if you want to bring Mr. Mallya back to India, you require to have an extradition treaty in order. About that we are hearing for nearly a year now, saying that the government is talking, but nothing is happening. So, I don't know why the government is unable to get this from a government which is very friendly to India.
Very happy with the development. In spite of having thumbed his nose at every other government directive, I'm happy that the Supreme Court has finally stepped in. I don't think it will be easy for him to dodge a Supreme Court directive, as after that I don't think he should ever be allowed in India. If he manages to try and evade this as well, I think we should show the might of the entire Indian judicial system and get the man behind bars where exactly he belongs.
I think today's decision of the contempt of court by Supreme Court, by the Honorable Supreme Court itself, is a historic landmark decision by the Honorable Supreme Court of the country. And I think this is the victory of common people of this country, and Supreme Court has really ensured that they keep the rights of common people intact.
My colleague Madhav joining me now for more on this. Madhav, what can this mean for Vijay Mallya? He's already made it very clear he will not be returning to the country. Will this also buff up the case against Mallya in the UK courts?
Well, yes, of course, this is in fact a massive development that has taken place today in terms of the Supreme Court coming out and actually saying that he is in contempt of court here in India, and it's the country's biggest court, the Supreme Court, that's saying that. Having said that, of course, we do know that the extradition procedures themselves are extremely lengthy. They will, of course, have to be satisfied that there is a prima facie offence that has been made out by Vijay Mallya, by the Indian government and prosecuting agencies, as well as the fact that this is an offence in the United Kingdom as well. So clearly, of course, satisfying those conditions is not easy in the best of times, and we've seen in the past how India has found it very difficult, or has even failed to actually extradite citizens from the United Kingdom, and that's why perhaps Vijay Mallya is so glib despite this extremely adverse order coming in from the Supreme Court. He, of course, has his own legal team over there, and as a person with tremendous amount of influence, Vijay Mallya Will he be able to get away with the UK's legal and judicial system? That's a big question that's on the minds of many. Of course, this does strengthen the hands as far as the government of India is concerned, and we will have to see if they make any fresh arguments or fresh appeals to the judicial system and administrative system there on the basis of this Supreme Court order.
We speak about the impact on Mallya, Madhav. This will have an impact, and I agree with you, on Mallya, who's already disrespected several summons by the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate in the past as well.
Well, yes, as you rightly mentioned, there are a number of parallel investigations that are concurrently running as far as Vijay Mallya is concerned, from the ED to the CBI to the Debt Recovery Tribunal, and all those cases certainly, of course, have Vijay Mallya as the primary person who is involved and is the primary defaulter. Now, the fact is this, that despite all of this, he's managed to escape India. What the government will essentially do is it has already, given its representation before the highest levels at the level of the prime ministers of both countries is concerned on this particular issue. We have seen the finance minister taking up this matter with the Chancellor of the Exchequer as well. So in this kind of a situation, really, any further appeal by the government, officially or formally, is perhaps likely in the wake of the Supreme Court order. But will that really affect on the judicial proceedings there in the United Kingdom? That's the big question, really, that we have to look out for.